Hi, John Alex here with a new chapter in the Daily Wars. The same as last week. I'm calling 5-day intervals weeks now, by the way. Same as last week, I put up a poll to decide which deck I was going to record with. The options were Grixis Delver, the Epic Storm, and Jonadian. I offered a deck list for Jonadian. Jonadian describes Nimble Mongoose plus Loam Barbarian Ring decks. The name did not come from me, as much as it is like me to name a deck after myself. It didn't come from me, but I still stuck to it. I like the name. I think it's cool to have a deck named after myself. Excuse me. So let's talk about what we have here. I'm gonna talk about voting for decks at the end of this video, because it's gonna be an integral part of the way I operate. More on that later. So to start out with, we have the 14 regular lands. I'm running Wooded Foothills right now because I have the basic forest in the sideboard. I'm gonna address that later. Usually I don't like foothills because to me personally, Wooded Foothills Go is a play that I would never crack a fetchland into. I think the only deck that plays Wooded Foothills Go is exactly this deck, Canadian Threshold. So basically, you play Wooded Foothills and you tell your opponent what you're playing, but in this deck it actually serves a purpose. There is no other land you could run, so it has to be in there. Normally I prefer Scalding Town, Polluted Delta right now because I play a lot of Storm, and if I then go Volcanic, Ponder, and then play Delta next to it, my opponents might think I'm on Storm again. That works out quite well sometimes. So yeah, the basic 14 lands here. Then we have 4 Wasteland, 4 Stifle, nothing unusual. Double Life from the Loam is, however, quite unusual. I do like the Barbarian Ring package. I think Loam is in general a pretty good card. Endeavor Mirrors, it's not amazing just on its own, but just casting Loam for 2 or 3 lands is often pretty good, because it means you will no longer lose to Wasteland, which is nice. We have 6 regular removal spells. I'm not sure if Chain Lightning is the correct choice. It could be Dismember, it could be Spite of Mogus, but right now I'm leaning towards just killing all the turn 1 Death Right Shamans. We also have Barbarian Ring, which we want to enable with Loam. Therefore Death Right Shaman is quite important. And we have Tabernacle. Tabernacle was more or less a joked suggestion I made after I noticed that often you would wastelock your opponent in the Delver Mirror, and then they would play Delve Creature, and that would be trouble, and you couldn't really deal with it without Dismembers, or you had already used your Dismembers on an early Death Right Shaman, or they had another Delve Creature earlier. And Tabernacle solves exactly that. It also solves super aggressive Young Pyromancer draws, or in general creature heavy draws for many decks. Maybe this would just be better off as Pyroclasm, but I think this is interesting tech and I want to try it. This deck is creature light anyway, and Tabernacle with Loam Wasteland is pretty nice. Yeah, I think Tabernacle is interesting technology for the Delver Mirror. Also it deals with Goblin tokens out of Storm, which is quite nice. And I can't be discarded, which is a nice bonus as well. We'll see how it does. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely not something many people would expect, and I was really close to playing a Croc rotation as well in this deck to get the Barbarian Ring and the Tabernacle, or sometimes just Wasteland. But yeah, that's basically the engine of the deck: the Loam, Tabernacle, Wasteland, Barbarian Ring. Then we have 8 cantrips because this is Legacy, 4 Hooting Mandrills, and 4 Nimble Mongoose. I have played this package before. This kind of list evolved from the deck I played in the February Legacy Challenge when Miracles was still legal. The original list had, I think, only 2 Mandrills and then 3 True Names. Then I tried a 4 Mandrills, 4 Mongoose deck, in paper, so I didn't get too many results. I didn't have problems with 4 Mandrills and 4 Mongoose. I think it's okay to run them next to each other, but it makes the deck extremely hard to play. Well, not really hard, but you have to be very disciplined, not playing the wrong creature. Playing turn 1 Nimble Mongoose is often really bad, because then you later draw Hooting Mandrills, and the Nimble Mongoose just sits there doing nothing. That's not great. But if you're careful with the creatures, it definitely works out. Yeah, so that's the creature. That's really the backbone of the deck, where it all originated. I was trying to find a creature suit that was impervious to Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay, and Lightning Bolt. Hooting Mandrills really only dies to Swords of Plowshares or Double Burn spell, which you still have counter magic for. It is annoying that Hooting Mandrills gets shot off by Maze of Eve, but notably it attacks through True Name Nemesis, Mother of Runes, stuff like that. That's pretty nice. Yeah, and then we have 8 free counters, so because again, this is Legacy, this is a Stifle deck, a Wasteland deck. I really like the Daces here. I like the Forces, because Forces is a necessity in the current format. The Spell Pierce, Spell Snare Split could be the other way around at the moment. Spell Snare nowhere near as important as it used to be when Miracles was legal. There are a few Snapcaster Mages, there are no more counterbalances, well, basically no more. Some people still try to make it work. But yeah, Spell Snare is still decent. It counters Young Paramount, it counters Baleful Strix, which is important because I don't have Pyroblast in my sideboard at the moment. The one-off counterspell is just a nice catch-all answer for the late game. I like it a lot. Moving on to the sideboard, we have Barbarian Ring, which is just an additional copy. I like it. The basic forest is an interesting piece of technology that goes back quite a few years, from when Dragon Stompy, or Moon Stompy, as people like to call it now, was first popular. You would run basic forest and then maybe Frozen Grip in the sideboard, which also covered counterbalance. That way you would not just straight up lose to Blood Moon. You could deal with Chalice of the Void. And initially I had, I think, a basic island instead, and a second Blue Blast, and no Destructive Revelry. I think in general Grudge is way more powerful than Revelry, but I noticed that this deck is just completely cold to Leyline of the Void, and also to a low extent Rest in Peace. So I wanted to have some enchantment removal, and therefore we run the basic forest to be able to cast this in the Blood Moon. The forest, I'm not sure how good it is in the Delver Mirror without having Deathrite Shaman, but still something I want to try out. Pyroclasm could as well be a crop rotation or a second Tabernacle, but I went with a Pyroclasm just because I'm trying to diversify my options. I'm looking to bring it against swarm decks like Elves, against decks with Empty, and in the Grixis matchup. I'm not sure if I like it against the other Delver decks. I don't think so, but we'll see. Needle is there for Deathrite Shaman, the Death and Taxes matchup, and Sneak and Show. Nurod, Storm, Death and Taxes. Other equipment decks maybe, we'll see about that. Cage, Storm, Reanimator. Basically that's it. I'm not going to bring it against Elves should I play against it, because I was told I would always bring Abrupt Decay to not lose to Tarmogoyf and Delve of the Secrets, and therefore Cage would be the only answer, the only target. And we still have the Barbarian Ring engine, we have Pyroclasm, we have Invasive Surgeries to counter their card advantage spells. So yeah, I like this. I like not boarding Cage. We have Blue Blast to deal with Blood Moon, Sneak Attack. That's mostly it. But obviously it also comes in against Burn. Invasive Surgery over Flusterstorm right now, because I think it's better against elves. It might be better against sneak attack, sneak and show. I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, we'll try it out. Spell Pierce, just an additional answer to Blood Moon, Chalice of the Void that you can also bring against combo decks. Surgical is just an extra piece of 0 mana interaction for the Black Red Reanimator matchup. I don't like it too much outside of that, but I would still bring it against Lance, I think. Maybe also against Agralome, I'm not too sure about that. Then we have 2 copies of Gemstone Caverns. That is not something that you often see. Actually, I don't think I've seen it in Legacy at all. But there's a lot of Moon Stompy online, at least in the time zone that I'm playing in. So I really dislike losing to the turn 1 Chalice, turn 1 Blood Moon or whatever. And Gemstone Caverns, excuse me, also doubles against combo decks where you are on the draw and it's more or less an extra copy of Force of Will, unless except unlike just having 4 copies of Force of Will for their turn 1 plays, and then the Revelries you might or might not draw into with Forest. It's dangerous with the basic mount, with Blood Moon. I like having the Gemstone Caverns just to be able to counter their turn 1 play and basically really just have another copy of Force of Will. It's been working out quite well so far, and honestly I'm thinking I might want to bring it in more matchups than just the combo matchups. I'm not too sure if I want it against Storm, because Storm's not really a turn 1 deck, but I think I still like it. The turn 0 Stifle, I think, is neat. I've not yet gotten to use that, but I have cast turn 0 Spell Snares and Spell Pierces. That has been really nice. Also the turn 1 Brainstorm plus Fetchland, or the turn 1 Counterspell, which has saved me from losing in the past. Yeah, I think I've talked enough about the list. I should have covered everything, I think. Yeah, back to the voting, I think. So, my idea is that I'm always going to play what people want me to play, at least when I'm recording. This way it's appealing. The vote will always be 3 options, and the one that gets the most votes will be the deck that I play, obviously. The second most voted deck will be included in the next poll, and the third most voted deck, or least voted deck, will be eliminated. The deck that gets voted will also be eliminated. I think I will go with a 10-week break for the deck that I record with. I might go to maybe 8 weeks, but basically I don't want to record the same deck 3 times without a new set releasing. Also keep in mind that a 10-week voting process is only 50 days as opposed to 70, so it's really only 7 weeks rather than 10. So the number 1 deck gets played, number 2 deck will be eligible again the next week, and the number 3 deck will not be eligible for 5 weeks. I think that's a reasonable pattern. I'm gonna be including the poll when I'm uploading this. I will link it in the description down below. I will also share it on Twitter. So this time there will be a longer period to vote. About 5 days, a little less likely. Probably more like 3 or 4. But yeah, I think the options will be Grixis. No, Grixis was eliminated today. The Epic Storm, Grixis Control, and 4-color Delver. I will link decklist for those in the description down below as well. And that's it for this video. See you soon with the first round in my League Run with this Jonadian deck. Thanks for tuning in.